Okay, explorers, welcome to episode 24. As always, I'm joined by the beautiful Taylor, all the way from Canada.
Hello.
And the young and wise old guy Jedi himself, Jimmy from Kansas.
Howdy.
So, we'll start with you, Taylor. How have you been this week and what have you been up to?
It's been a good week. I actually, you know what? I started reading the Rising Storm, the High Republic book. So that's my new book that I'm reading right now.
Nice.
And yeah, and it's been good. It's going by pretty quick. So good
Cool,
week. What
happy
about you?
days. Yeah, just trading some Belizean troops. Obviously, over in Belize, internet's hit and miss. So, I've been unable to get online too much.
Right.
Still working my way through Cataclysm as well. I've got about 2 hours left to listen to that. Apart from dying in 35-degree heat and a ridiculous amount of humidity, I'm not doing too bad. What about you, Jimmy?
It's been a good week. We had our league. Weather has dropped. Weather has gotten cold, which is nice because we haven't had any good weather for the kids. Now it's freezing cold. Now we're all complaining that it's too cold. That's how Kansas
Yeah.
goes. It's either hot or it's cold. But no, we had a really great league meet. You know, we did some things that I wasn't sure we could do, and then yesterday I got to go to my first. I'm going to say this. It's going to sound pretty white when I say this, but my first quinceañera. So one of my students turned 15. She's Hispanic, and they had this big party. And I'd never been to one before, and I got invited. So we went and checked that out, and that was pretty cool.
Nice.
It's kind of tie into my Force encounters this week. But yeah, that was really exciting to go see and to see how different cultures do different things.
That's
so it's
cool.
pretty fun. It was a good week.
That's
Cool.
super fun.
Happy days. Awesome. So, without any ado then, let's head over to our Force encounters. Okay then, so what have we got then for this week's Force encounters?
All right. I guess I'll start since I just kind of gave it away. So I went to that 15th birthday party. I'm not going to avoid saying it again because I know I sound pretty terrible when I say it. But I was just sitting there thinking about it. And we love Star Wars, and Star Wars is all about family and all that. And it was just kind of fun to watch all these. I mean, I knew nobody there. I knew the young lady. I've had her in class for like 6 or 7 weeks. I guess 9 weeks technically. And got there, and these people invited us to sit with them. I took my wife, and I took Vanessa, our exchange student from Mexico, and she hadn't really been to one like this. It's very different how they do it in the United States and everything. But
Right.
it was cool because it was like family. And then I started thinking about Star Wars, and I was thinking like, if I lived in a Star Wars galaxy, I think I'd have the same profession as a teacher or like a, not really a Dr. Aphra kind of character, but someone like that goes out and just explores, kind of like what's the guy from Jedi Survivor? What's the Jedi Master? BD1's original master?
Cordova.
I can't believe I can't think
Master
of it.
Cordova.
Yeah, Master Cordova. I think I'd be a lot like him, going out and searching and just learning and kind of eating up all this new culture and different alien species and stuff like that. Because it was a lot of fun. Like, it was neat. It's different from what we do for birthdays, and it just it was really cool. So that's my Force encounter.
Nice.
Super fun.
Awesome. What about you, Taylor? You got anything?
Actually, yeah, I kind of had an unexpected Force encounter. I guess that's what they all are, kind of unexpected. Hey, we had our movie night, our little family movie night the other night, and my daughter picked Wreck-It Ralph 2 to watch. And I don't know if you guys have watched Wreck-It Ralph 2. And it's like Ralph breaks the internet. But there's like this whole chunk where they're in like Disney, the Disney website or something. And like R2-D2's there, and C-3PO is like talking to the Disney princesses. And that's actually Anthony Daniels doing that voice. I checked. And there's like First Order stormtroopers like chasing Ralph and like the little Vanellope chick. And like the Falcon's like flying, and there's like X-Wings like they're like flying through. It was just I was like, what is going on? It's like, this isn't the kids show that my kid usually picks every Friday, like Secret Life of Pets or something horrible. So it was great. I was like, what are we even watching? So it's good. So if you haven't watched that movie, watch it, because it's actually quite interesting. So
Nice. Not a great deal for myself. Just keeping on top of work, obviously, but like I mentioned last week, when chatting secret nerd stuff to one of the guys, it's now started obviously looking at our Facebook page and that, and Instagram. So we should hopefully be reaching that magic number of 300. So yeah, will he be the magic 300, or will it be somebody else? Who knows?
Somebody give us a follow so we can hit 300. You will follow Explore the Force on Instagram and Facebook.
But apart from that, yeah, not a great deal. So let's head over then to Batu and see what news is coming out of there. Okay, this weekend then there's been lots and lots of reveals at New York Comic Con this weekend. With new Funko Pops with Maul, with Metal Legs. We've seen the new Rosario Dawson, Ahsoka, and Spirit of Yoda fig pins. There's also been some new helmets showing the patrol officer from Solo, arranging around the $200 mark. Also, we've got the Star Wars TIE Fighter, pilot concept Millie Buster as well. That's looking pretty sick. And we've also noticed the Star Wars trading cards by Topps. Again, I know that the Topps were quite popular at Star Wars Celebration, where they were selling them in sets for each different timeline. I think it was £100. I think it was for like a Republic set, and each day they'd reveal them and release those. And there's also doing little giveaways, and they've become quite valuable now, especially to the Topps collectors. So yeah, big reveals. Anything caught your eye?
Nothing that I should be able. Nothing I should buy. Let's just. But the fighter pilot would be really cool.
That had a real World War I, World War II kind of
Jimmy?
vibe to it, with like the leather. Yeah, so I like the that mini bus was pretty cool because it had like that World War I, World War II vibe to it, with like the leather on it. The helmet looks different. Of course, I have all them all Funko Pops, so I may end up having to collect that one with the metal legs. We'll see. I would love to add that patrol helmet, but it's $675, so that will not be added to my collection.
Just print a picture of it.
But yeah,
just put the picture.
Yeah, just print a picture of it and stick it up there. So, but yeah, all the stuff looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, there was a ton of new reveals from the Lucasfilm publishing panel that was at the Comic-Con. You can read these on StarWars.com. You can go check them out and get into them more. But I'm going to attempt to read all 13 releases. So here we go. Number 1, we have the Mace Windu mini comic series in January. We have the Jango Fett mini comic series in March. I know, how exciting is that one? We're getting Thrawn Alliances, written by Timothy Zahn, a comic series in January. I don't think that's going to be a mini-series, though. I think it's going to be a good one.
Is that the book being made into a comic series?
It has the same name, so it would be super cool if it did, right? And then we can see all the visuals and stuff.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
It would make sense with Thrawn talking to Ahsoka about knowing Anakin.
Coming back into... everybody wants to know who Thrawn is right now, right?
Yeah.
We have 2 new graphic novels for Star Wars hyperspace stories. There's going to be one about Qui-Gon and one about Obi-Wan. Those look super cool. Release date is to be announced. Number 5, we have The High Republic Phase 3 is starting, the comic series. It's starting in January. We have The Shadows of Starlight number 4 with Markion on the front with Loden Greatstorm's yellow lightsaber. And then we have The High Republic number 3 with Keeb Trennis and Lorna D on the front. Having a battle, which is super sick looking. Love Keeb. We have number 6, The High Republic Adventures Continues. It'll be number 3, and that'll be releasing in February. Number 7, we have The High Republic, the Lightsaber Collection. That is to be announced. The Disney shops and the Disney parks will be getting Stellan Geo's Crossguard lightsaber. They're only making 5,000 of these. So this is the High Republic lightsaber with the crossguards, the blue one.
Yeah.
was Stellan. And you know what? And I feel like if Jimmy, if you were actually a Jedi, you would be Stellan, because he likes to be a teacher, and he's just so good, and he's good at talking, and you're a good talker. Okay, where am I? I need to see how much that saber is going to be, though, because that's very interesting. We're getting a visual archive of Return of the Jedi, a few years late, but we're getting it now. Number 10, the best, worst jokes and puns from a galaxy far, far away. So it's a dad joke book, which I'm
I'll be
obviously
getting
going to have
that.
to get. Yeah, I'm going to have to get that. I have the Star Wars Mad Libs book, like 3 of them, and they're pretty fun. But they're really old. Number 11, we have the Dark Horse Trials from the Death Star, and it's just going to be here just in time for Halloween. Well, that'll be cool. The High Republic Character Encyclopedia is also coming.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm waiting for that.
That'll be awesome. That one's going to have Phase 3 characters in it too, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So that'd be
Which is probably why they delayed it so much.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they're not sending out 3 different books with 3 different encyclopedias. So,
yeah, those encyclopedias drive me crazy sometimes. So
they're like $60. They're all so expensive, but I want them.
Yeah.
Gotta wait for Christmas. Christmas is coming up, guys. And our last one, we have a children's book. It's called Jedi, Brave in Every Way, and it's like an adventure between Buryaga and Yoda. So, and that one's gonna be that's gonna be in my house like as soon as it releases, because my child will definitely want to read that. So yeah, those are my 3 reveals.
Sounds like a lot of stuff. That's pretty impressive. Lucas Publishing has been crushing it since Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, they've always had tons of stuff going on. I mean, you can definitely, it's like we can count on them. I don't feel like we can count on Lucasfilm sometimes, because things keep getting canceled and changed. But Lucas Publishing has been on it. Maybe they should look at some of those people to come over and help run Lucasfilm. So maybe bring some of those writers over to write some movies too. But yeah, so we also, not at New York Comic Con, but the Lego Group and Lucasfilm have unleashed 3 new Halloween-themed shorts available on Star Wars Kids. The Boo and the Brick-filled tales include The Sith Witch of Mustafar, in which Vader feels afraid of an old legend. Mech My Day, featuring Stormtrooper who builds his own mech suit in order to confront his Sith boss. And they have those Legos of those big mech suits, so that's a kind of a clever way of them tying that in. And now all the little kids are going to want to go out and buy them off the shelves. So if you haven't gotten that one, go get it, because I'm sure it's going to get bought up now.
Oh my
and Mandoween, which finds Grogu playing a terrifying trick on Din Djarin. The charming shorts blend Halloween and Star Wars for a frightfully fun time, appropriate for Jedi Masters and younglings alike. So that'll be fun.
That'd be a good one.
Check those out. I haven't got to watch them yet. It says they're already up on that Star Wars Kids. And kind of to top off what a little bit of more of what Taylor said, the High Republic Phase 3 is just around the corner. Technically, it's started because we've gotten the first Shadows of the Starlight comic.
Yeah.
Came out, I think, last week. And then number 2 comes out on November 8th. And then the first Dark Horse, the High Republic comics start. And then, of course, the first book's going to drop, The Eye of Darkness. That's the one you talked about with Marchand looking all jacked like he's been to the gym last year working out.
Oh, my gosh.
That comes out November 14th. So I'm confident a bit. And just real quick, too, looking at the release, before it seemed like they released 3 books in a month. And now it's like it's spread out, like the next one's January, the next one's March.
Good.
That'd be nice. It'll give Taylor a chance and Jack a chance to get caught up.
Yeah.
So and maybe for me to reread them again. But yeah, so lots of stuff, lots of fun things. New York Comic Con doesn't seem to be getting a lot of hype online. I haven't really seen much coming out of that convention, which is kind of sad. But again, the writer strikes and all that stuff have changed, and so we'll see. Hopefully, the actor strikes get sorted here soon, and we can move on, and we'll have some really good news coming down the line.
Yeah.
So.
Happy days. And that wraps up this week's news. Okay, so this week then we are going to be covering Mortis.
Yeah, so this is something we talked about. We started, obviously there's all these rumors flying around Ahsoka, and it seems like we can't get away from the show yet. I mean, there's lots of stuff going on in Star Wars, but we keep getting pulled back into this Ahsoka and the things that wrapped around it. Of course, Dave Filoni, big part of the Clone Wars, obviously a massive part, the whole part of the Ahsoka series. But if you don't know, and I was kind of surprised, I don't know about you guys, but when I went back to rewatch it this week, I thought it was going to be like season 5, 4 or 5, and it was season
Yeah.
3. I
I
was
didn't
kind of
think it was so
surprised how,
early.
yeah,
real
and I was
early.
kind of surprised by that. And then I went through and I looked at just shout out to season 3. I went through and I looked at season 3. That is an intense season of the Clone Wars. If you haven't watched Clone Wars, just dive into season 3. You won't be disappointed. But how this episode ties into, so of course, if you've watched Ahsoka, the ending, all right, so spoilers, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to turn this thing off real quick, all right, but Baylan, unfortunately, was only in it for about 5 seconds, but he is pretty important. He's standing there, he's standing on the statue, and if you don't know the Clone Wars, you have no idea. Maybe if you watched Rebels, you would have them because they show up in Rebels as well, but he's standing on the statue of the father, pointing out to this beacon of light way down, the valley of these mountains and stuff like that. So with all the rumors, and it finally came true, you had the father, you had the son, and of course there was one that was crumbled, and we're all assuming that's the daughter.
Yeah.
We can tie into some things here. We're going to dive into this arc. It's 3 episodes. Like we said, so episode. Well, first off, we're going to let you guys hear what Dave Filoni has to say about the Mortis God. So here comes Dave. This is a few years ago, I believe.
The Mortis gods were a concept created by George when we worked on Clone Wars, and he had us do this arc that basically dealt with Anakin being tested by these Force wielders, George called them, to see if he was this prophesized chosen one, which seemed to be a common prophecy among many different Force wielding groups. And they were the first creation by George of somebody other than a Jedi or a Sith that could wield the Force and do it on an almost godlike level. So I'd been working on somewhat history of what they are really and where could they have come from and what all that meant back when we did Clone Wars. And then I resurrected it here in Rebels to tie things a bit together and make certain storylines possible.
All right, so that's Dave talking about what would be season 5 of Rebels then, I guess, right? Isn't that with the World Between Worlds and all that stuff? So that's kind of cool that George actually created them, and then they brought them all together for this, and now it's tying. You got the Clone Wars being tied in with the Rebels, and of course Rebels being tied in with Ahsoka, and we'll see what happens. But the very first episode, season 3, episode 15, it was called The Overlords, and if you've watched the Clone Wars, there's always a little quote. The quote for this episode was, "Balance is found in the one who faces his guilt." This episode is all about guilt. Just real quick, what did you guys think of the episode? Like, just, right off the top. I mean, I hadn't watched them in a long time until we decided to do this a while back, but what did you guys think of the episode?
It's really out of the blue. Like, I mean, I guess all Clone Wars arcs are just randomly out of the blue because they're so scattered all over the place. But the episode before the Mortis arc is actually like an episode with the witches of Dathomir, like the Mother Talzin and stuff. So that's kind of cool how it's like the one right before this one is also with the witches, and Ahsoka had witches and so on. But yeah, there was a lot of information in this first episode because they're trying to explain like what's going on where you are. It's a big smack in the face, this episode.
What about you, Jack?
Yeah, I know. I agree with Taylor. You're so used to Clone Wars being sort of action packed, and I think this one slows it down a little bit, but it makes sense. Having now listened to that clip, obviously, if you've watched it recently, it makes more sense that it's building that other universe and possible story arcs, because it really does slow everything right down, and you sort of think it's like a filler episode, so to speak. It's just put in there. Obviously, the more you stick with Star Wars, the longer you go on the ride, the more you see it start to come out a bit more, and it does make a bigger picture.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It seems like it would have been kind of random. And I tell you what, I didn't watch Clone Wars when it was coming out on the Cartoon Network. That would have been maddening having to wait a week for these. It's kind of like when we're watching Bad Batch or the other shows animated
Yeah.
shows where you're getting 23 minutes. Like this arc, you want to sit down, you want to binge it because you want to
Yeah.
get to it. But it would have been a little maddening. But this arc, it starts out, and I even went back to make sure I hadn't missed anything in like the previous episodes, and it just starts out with the news flash. Guy's voice comes on and starts talking about what's happening, and a Jedi code that hasn't been heard for 2,000 years, or used
2,000
for
years.
2,000 years, gets, and then Ahsoka, Anakin, Kenobi are sent. Captain Rex is sent on a ship separately, and they're all
They're gonna
supposed to
meet
meet
him
at this
there.
one point.
Yeah.
Our crew, and that doesn't, and again, a lot of this is going to tie into Ahsoka, but they're flying in an ETA class shuttle called a Jedi Ambassador shuttle. It's the same ship that Baylan
Shin
and
Baylan had.
Shin come in and land on, and of course Ezra at the end. But so they're flying, they get to this coordinates, and there's no one there. Like Rex and his ship can't find them, they can't see him. And then they see this like cube looking thing. I don't even know.
It's like a big
Not cube, it's like
diamond.
a diamond. Yeah, diamond.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And they get pulled into it. And the next thing you know, my notes say they wake up in or on Mortis, right?
Yeah.
Because there's all this argument: is Mortis an actual place, or is it like World Between Worlds, where it's somewhere else? And then I'll turn this over to you guys in a second. But Kenobi says, "I don't even know if we're in our own galaxy."
Yeah, so Obi-Wan has no idea, obviously, if they're in the right universe, galaxy, whatever. I think Mortis is a thing, maybe a living thing that sort of consumes people, I think. Takes on quite a psychedelic sort of trip or something, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But it is odd, because I think one of the biggest questions from the episode is, how are they receiving that message so strongly, but there's nothing there?
Yeah, like they're receiving it from that location, and like Rex's ship got there and there was nothing there. Unless they knew they were going to be in this spot and they just sucked them. I don't know. It's technology that we won't understand.
Because we find out later that it's the father, but I think it's in the episode, the third episode of this arc, the son is getting stronger, and he says, "I'll be able to call any ship I want soon." So
because
they're just kind of reaching out there. Yeah. So I don't know. It's Taylor. Do you think it's a place or like a world between world? Like, do you think it's a physical place, or do you think it's like a temporal?
No, I think it's something that the father has created. Like, I don't think it's actually a planet, because there's no animals, there's no life on the planet. There's a lot of like foliage, like plants and stuff. But as the seasons change every 20 minutes, and like there's no sun on this planet. I don't know where the light is coming from. There's no sun here, but there's light. There's season changes. It's like crazy thunderstorms at night, like dangerous. I don't know. I think it's a bit of an like, if you look at it, it's kind of like when Luke said, like, what do you see around you? And like Rey reaches out and she feels balance, like death and life and peace and baby chicks and everything. And I think it's kind of the same thing, just everything's just amplified. So like we, with our non-force powered senses, can see all of the changes and stuff as they're happening, because it's so strong here. Because I think the father has made this, like, as he says, it's like a prison for his children, and he loves his children, but he knows that they are so strong in the force, their family's so gifted that they could literally tear the fabric of the galaxy, of the universe. So he has them locked here, and he said that this is the decision that they made. So they did come from somewhere else. They haven't always been here. I'm like looking at the little lines that he says. So, I mean, we know one other planet that has, the father and the son and like a destroyed daughter statue. So maybe they came from a different galaxy. But yeah, I don't think it's an actual planet. I think the father has like made this place, and it's like, I think it's like partially in their minds in a way, and because no time passes and they're gone either. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but then at the same time,
torn.
like their ship's like exploding and stuff, so who knows?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn how this is going to work, because like I think there's some stuff we'll talk about a little bit later that tied into Peridea like background stuff, but none of that stuff like you talked about, Taylor, where as the days are changing, everything's dying at nighttime, and then everything comes back to life in the daytime. And that weather and that, I mean, obviously that probably would have been impossible to do on the volume and for actual live action, but some other things. So I think, yeah, I could see it being both. But then, so they get off their ship and they kind of see what's going on, and Anakin can hear, are you the chosen one? He hears it a couple times, and he turns around and there's this, the daughter is standing there, right? And she's like, are you the chosen one? And he's like, what are you talking about? Because apparently by this point in the thing, it's not something he believes in quite yet. And then Anakin asks her, like, who are you? What are you? And she gives him some stuff. Then she says, we are the middle, the beginning, and the end. And that's kind of the first thing that really caught my eye, because what is Baylan looking for on Peridea? Yeah. He says it out loud. He says, I'm looking for the beginning.
Oh.
So I'm like, whoa, is that he wants to change that cycle? The reference, he's obviously referencing the Mortis gods.
Yeah.
So I just don't know, like, that's kind of like what we're talking about with this, like, where is this all going, I guess. But what do you guys think about that? Like, I wasn't sure until I watched it, and I about jumped out of my chair when she's like, we're the middle, the beginning, and the end. And I remember him saying, I'm looking for the beginning. So
yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, there's definitely a link there. I think something else as well that doesn't get mentioned, that gets overlooked, because something I noticed, what you were saying as well, Taylor, is obviously you don't see the sun, like you don't see the season. You see the seasons change, so to speak, every 20 minutes. But I'd be interested to know what the time frame was for them landing on Peridea to leave them with Thrawn on that ship, because we don't really see a massive change. I don't think.
Yeah, right.
I don't think
Hera
we see
still has her crew and stuff.
There's no, like, I'm pretty certain there's no scenes in the dark. It's always light.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Do you know what I mean? There's no.
Yeah.
I can't even remember seeing the sun or anything like that in the sky in Ahsoka.
No, I have
to go back and watch that. Fire at night or anything I think like that?
Well, the end scene is at nighttime.
There's no nighttime on Peridea, on Ahsoka whatsoever.
But if
every single show,
very end, there is with Anakin's Force Ghost. That was nighttime, I think.
Yes.
I don't know. I have to go back, but no, I think that you're right though. Leading up to that, So
I think there's references in there, and it makes sense for Peridea being shut off from the galaxy, so to speak, like you're saying. Maybe that not the planet was made, but like there's some sort of simulation there for keeping the brother and sister apart from the universe, so to speak. So it's like a planet prison for them. But yeah, it's a strange one, especially as well with all the Purgles dying there, because obviously they've got some sort of power as well. There's a lot more that meets their eye with that planet, I think. But I'll be interested to see where it goes.
Just choose a planet just because, Yeah,
they're drawn to it. I would assume
for some reason or another.
Yeah. So that's a great place. We could probably come back and revisit that for a whole show sometime. They go adventuring. The daughter's like, I'm going to take you to the one who can answer all your questions. And she's the father. They're on their way. They're hiking.
Yeah.
And then of course, Kenobi says, let's not get separated. And what happens 5 minutes later? They get separated. So Ahsoka and Kenobi get separated. Yeah. And then Anakin and the daughter get separated together, but then she leaves him. It seems like everyone gets split up, and then the brother shows up for the first time, and voiced by Sam Witwer, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive, and you can hear like hints of Maul, hints of the Emperor coming through. Sometimes it's pretty cool, but he shows up, and they both pull their lightsabers on him, and he just makes the lightsabers just basically makes the the weapon just disappear, kind of. And I thought that was like, whoa, because they say they're godlike, and even Filoni says godlike. They call them Mortis gods, but I'm not sure if Star Wars calls them that. Just super strong Force users, but I thought that was pretty impressive. And then, of course, I'll let you guys talk about those two scenes. And the next, what I kind of wanted to talk about too is Anakin's going towards this, and he sees this monastery, and he wants to get to it, and it has this light shining like up high, and it looks similar to the light that Baylan sees at the end of Ahsoka episode 6 or 8, 6, right? Or 8.
6. No, 8
episodes.
8.
Sorry. Yeah, I forget how many. My brain's getting confused. I have so many notes here, but
well, the
brothers.
So
you got the brothers. Yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
No, I was going to say the brother's the only one alive, but they're not. They all died at the end. All of the ones, right? So it's like, I don't know who's living up in that tower over there. And I thought for a second, like maybe it's the brother living on Peridea, and he's like pissed and hates his sister, so he exploded the mountain that has the sister on it. But when she dies, he says, "It's ironic. You are the only one that I actually ever loved, and you're the one that I accidentally killed." So he wouldn't have just destroyed her mountain. So I don't know. Some kind of connection between that. I don't know.
Jack, what do you think? So you've got the brothers showing up, and you've got that monastery that.
Yeah, it all just seems too ironic for me. I think it is the monastery that it is looking at. There's definitely 100% link there. I think Taylor as well. I don't think maybe that the brother destroyed the mountain, but maybe when she died, part of the mountain died with her or something. And the fact with the scene where it basically just takes the lightsabers away, so to speak, or just turns it straight off. And as well, they call them the Mortis gods. I mean, if it's their, again, I'm going to say, if it's their training simulation or it's them only as gods, then they would be self-proclaimed gods, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's a weird one. It is a weird one, I think.
So now that we've all talked about how much the Mortis arc doesn't actually make sense to us, we're trying to make sense of it. Well, we get Qui-Gon appears for Obi-Wan, and he says, "This place is both a magnet and an amplifier." So now our 3 Jedi are seeing all of these visions, and they're extra powerful and stuff because of what Qui-Gon said. The place is an amplifier for the Force, a magnet for all things, like for stronger midichlorians, Force, etc. So Qui-Gon appears for Obi-Wan, and he asks questions that he already knows the answers to. Did you train the boy? Well, yes. And in the Obi-Wan series, Qui-Gon says, "I've always been here, Obi-Wan. You just weren't ready to see." So is this the point where Qui-Gon starts always being there? Or is he just trying to start conversation with Obi-Wan? Like, "Oh, did you do what I asked you to do last time we spoke?" And then Qui-Gon explains to Obi-Wan that there's 3 really strong Force users here that seek Skywalker. So they want Anakin, and it's not safe for him to be here. So Qui-Gon right there is like trying to help Obi-Wan right away, and Obi-Wan's like, "What are you talking about? Okay, Ahsoka, we need to get out of here. I think Anakin's in trouble." And then we go to Anakin, who's having a dream, and who does he see? Who wakes him up?
His mommy.
Mommy. Yeah, so she wakes him up and she like touches him. She's like hugging him. So it's not just that he's not just getting like a Force ghost, like, or he wouldn't because it's Shmi, but she's like there hugging him and stuff, like physically there. And she says, "You are more than a Jedi. And where's your pain? Tell me, where's your pain?" Like she's trying to be all motherly, and he's got his lightsaber out like, "Who are you? My mother's actually dead." And then he admits to her, also to himself, that he has so much guilt in feeling the rage and the revenge that he got when he let her down, when he failed as a Jedi, quote. So his guilt is that he feels terrible that he killed all the Tuskens, but that he was like happy about it at the time. Like he felt good about killing them all. So Yeah, and then she
Yeah.
says that Padme is not his future, not his destiny, and that she's just a poisoner. And then she just goes nuts, and then Anakin, they all go nuts. So
Yeah.
good family reunion.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying about. I think it's like some sort of psychedelic trip or like a
Yeah.
simulation because even the thing with the lightsabers is obviously they use the lightsabers straight away. They rely on the lightsabers straight away. So I think it
Hmm.
feeds on their emotions, and obviously when they see the brother, the first thing they think is fear. So losing the lightsaber straight away, it feeds on that. It's gone. The thing with Qui-Gon Jinn, I don't think any of these visitors, if you like, are the actual people that we see. I think it's just the character's thoughts and feelings. Like again, Obi-Wan having the guilt of he's lost his master, he misses his master. Again, it's the light and the good side of that Mortis playing on him. Exactly the same with Anakin Skywalker. This Mortis thing feeds on your emotion. It lets you see what you want to see to a degree, but then twists it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know because my thing too is like at the end of this 3 series arc, they all wake up in the ship. I know we're kind of spoiling things, but we kind of have to talk about everything. I want to know how much they remember moving forward. I know that he doesn't remember, and I don't want to give it away, but I know Anakin doesn't remember one thing because the father takes it away from him,
Yeah.
right? But how much of their being there do they remember? Like, does Ahsoka remember what's about to happen to her? Because all three of them get, they get their ghost visits. The Qui-Gon thing I was confused by a little bit too because like you said, both you guys said like, is that really Qui-Gon? Like, and I also said, is Qui-Gon the one who told the ones that Anakin was the chosen one? Like he dies, right? He goes and he's obviously one of the first Jedi to be able to do what he does and come, use the living force. Is he the reason that the ones know about Anakin? Right? Did he tell them, hey,
Ooh.
like we have the chosen ones here, and so they're just making a plan or sitting there waiting for him. And then, like you said too, so there's that aspect of it. And then you have the brother shows up as Shmi,
Hmm.
trying to trick Anakin, and then he talks about your guilt does not define you, and that ties back in. That's one of the two tie-ins I saw to the quote. Balance is found in the one who faces his guilt. So it really kind of is the forefront of this whole thing. So they're trying to get Anakin to face his guilt about the things he's done, and the father really tries to get him to face the guilt. So yeah, and then of course it takes us into Ahsoka. She sees an older version of her. Almost looks like Shock T, right? I
Yeah,
thought
Yeah,
that's
more
what I
like
saw.
Shock
I saw
T.
Shock
that's
T.
what I thought it was.
Because like she doesn't even look like
Yeah.
that now that she's that age.
And she goes, that's what I think too. So the older version tells her, seeds of the dark side have been planted in you by Anakin. And that's another
Yeah.
connection. Thrawn says, how much like your master are you?
Yeah.
At the end of the episode 8. And so now I was like, oh my gosh. Because, like he knows this stuff. And I mean, obviously he wrote this stuff, but he's coming here and grabbing all this information and he's plugging it into this Ahsoka series. And, Thrawn's last comments are kind of snarky about, how much like your master are you? Like, is there a dark side to you?
It's
And
got to leave a mark. That's what he said to her. And she was like, oh,
so
no.
but yeah, so I thought that was a pretty cool. All three of them had a pretty interesting. Whoever they were. I kind of think it was like the mother, or not the mother, the daughter who was like kind of seeing Ahsoka, and then the father was talking as Qui-Gon, and then of course the brother was talking, or the son was talking as Shmi, I think, because each one of them kind of has
their
that
own
connection. I don't know though.
personalities too,
Yeah,
even.
so I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I want to know how much of like that conversation Ahsoka remembers at the end because she has a rough time, this episode.
Oh yeah.
So,
I was gonna say she doesn't get her memory wiped, but it might be.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I mean, how much does she remember from what happens to her in episode 2? But
gosh.
so yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting that was there and that tie-in. Like I know I've said it. I'll probably say it a few more times as we go through this, but the tie-ins from all the things that happened in the Ahsoka series and this 3-series arc is insane.
They're all
and
there.
the Rebels and the 2 Rebels episodes as well.
Yeah,
they're in.
which I did not have time to watch.
Yeah.
So, I have a question. Is the father a Bendu? or is the Bendu the
Ooh.
father? Like, because he's the one in the middle, right? Because the father's not necessarily a super nice dude. Because he does I think he does some shady stuff, right? And the but that's like he's the light and the dark. He's the balance. Is he the first Bendu? Is the Bendu a reincarnation of the father? So thoughts,
Wow.
go Taylor.
Well, the Bendu said that he's like older than anybody can possibly imagine. So he would have to be alive at the same time as the father. So then the father would have to be in two places at once. I think that the galaxy just has different types of force users and different convergences in the force. And I think that these two different godlike force wielders are separate. But I think they both kind of have the same. Like there's so many similarities there. Like he is the balance, he is the middle, the one in the middle, and he's so powerful. And that's a really good one. Who asked that question?
I did.
Oh, I thought you said that was I thought you said that was.
No,
We're gonna ask our.
when I was watching it, I was kind of like, is he the Bendu? Like he's the one in the middle,
That's
because he has very
awesome.
similarities. Because at first I was like, well, no, he's the balance. But I rewatched these twice. I went through once, just watched them. The second time, took all my notes, and I was like, man, the father's kind of a jerk, and so was the Bendu. The Bendu was kind of a butthead,
They kind of have to be though.
because they could do whatever they needed to keep the balance, and so I was kind of like, maybe there's a tie in there. Maybe I'm reading into it because I love the Bendu. I want more of the Bendu or whatever. So but I don't know, Jack. What do you think? Bendu, the father, is there a correlation there, or is it like Taylor said? There's lots of things.
I think as well, like I keep saying about the Mortis thing. I think the father is the son and the daughter. I think they're just again, like how can I put this? Like fake visions or projections of himself.
Extensions of himself.
That's it. Yeah, extensions of his good and bad side. And I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say again, this is a super long game, if 5 or 10 years down the line, we come across a sort of high council of the Force, which is the Bendu, Mortis. I don't think the son and daughter would be something, because I think they're extensions. I think there's going to be like powerful Force users around the galaxy or galaxies that sort of nurture the Force.
Very cool. That'd be sweet.
I like that idea.
So the religious undertones of the father are even more so than what we thought, because you're saying it's like the Holy Trinity, basically, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, everything extends from him. It's really his internal battle.
Yeah. Think about it, because he's letting the dark side take over him, and then he kills the light side in himself, and then he tries to kill the dark, but he actually kills the light, and then he kills the dark himself, and he kills himself. So
I think it's all extensions of him. I think that the Mortis is him, is like the father. But then with Baylan saying that he's searching for the beginning, I think then maybe on Peridea then there is. I think we're going to come across something there's going to be some sort of. I can just picture it like a high council, some sort of secret council or a sect that's neither good nor bad, but like I say, is powerful with the Force. There has to be.
Yeah. Do you think we see something like that in the Mangold movie? He's going to be 25,000 years ago. It's going to be the start of the Force. Is it going to be those people who split up, or do you think it's going to be something that as the Force gets stronger? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the building blocks are going to be there, definitely. I don't think we're going to see everything at once. Because I think, again, especially with Star Wars, look at the revenue it's generating. They've got to keep this going as long as they can. This isn't going to get... This probably even get wrapped up in our lifetime. This is something that's got to keep going and going and going and going. And now they've just opened up another whole universe. And when we get to the end of that one, there'll be another one that opens up.
Probably.
Yeah, I think that's awesome that they did that whole galaxy thing, because now Star Wars doesn't ever have to end. Like something dies, they can just recreate it. For the future. So.
Yeah. All new stories.
Yeah, but so there's a lot. There's a lot into this. Moving forward, Anakin finds the father. He has that nightmare. He wakes up. He comes out. He's super mad. Anakin's really mad a lot in this episode. I always enjoyed the Clone Wars because it always foreshadowing his fall, and
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
does it beautifully. But he comes out and he starts arguing about with the father about going and taking the sun down and all this stuff. And the father says, "Too much dark or light would be the undoing of your life, of life as you know." Sorry, I'm starting over.
Yeah.
The father says, "Too much dark or light would be the undoing of life as you understand it." So, like, he has to have that balance. There's a lot of references with the Clone Wars and what's happening with the daughter and the son. But and then it kind of, and I'll set the scene, and you guys, we can talk about it a little bit more. So they come down. The father wants Anakin to replace him as the middle.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So he's like, he goes, just take this one test, and then I'll know if you're the chosen one. And
Yeah.
Anakin's like, I don't want to take your test, blah, blah, blah. But they end up taking the test anyways. And all of a sudden, the son and the daughter come flying in as their creatures. I mean, I think he looks like a bat and she looks like a hippogriff from Harry
A
Potter.
griffin.
They come, they come flying down. He has Ahsoka and they have Kenobi, and one of them's got to die. So only Anakin can choose. He's got the whole Spider-Man, scenario. Who you're going to save? And then Anakin just goes, Anakin. Kenobi tells him, this planet is the Force, use it. And then Anakin just smokes both of them, basically.
Yeah,
So,
you will let them go. He doesn't have to choose.
Yeah.
He completely can control them both. He just all of a sudden closes his eyes and it's just like all powerful. So then
Yeah,
that
and
is
it
the
shows
test that his father wanted. Can he control my crazy children? Babysitter
So what do you guys-
approved. Ding ding.
Yes, you got it. Anakin Skywalker, the best and the worst babysitter out there. So what do you guys think? So he takes them and he turns them back to their mortal features, drops them both, slams them both. He has them both bend the knee to him. I mean, he's in charge.
Yeah.
He's sitting there waiting to become the father, basically. So what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Dive
I
into
think
it.
it was very cool. You can hear Darth Vader music in the background. He's so strong. Even Obi-Wan is like, oh my gosh, like he is so strong. Like even Obi-Wan's like, oh my god. And
He's terrifying, I think.
yeah, and Anakin's like, no, I don't want this job. I don't want to watch your children. Like I'm not going to stay here. And he's like, but you're the chosen one. You have to. Like nobody else could control my children unless they were the ones that were going to take over for me. It's like, sorry, nope. And then they think they leave.
Yeah. Jack, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, like I keep saying, it just seems like it's all a dream. It's again seeing the emotions or like the dreams and the nightmares of each individual. And I think the more powerful the Force user, the more powerful these dreams are. These dreams actually are, because you see all the way through Clone Wars how close he gets to Ahsoka, and then obviously he does have a bond with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So his nightmare would be losing them both, and you get to a point in the dream that you don't want to lose them both. Then you've got on the outside as well of Mortis, you've got people keep telling him about keeping his emotions in check. We got told it straight from the very first from Yoda and Mace Windu having a go at him. So that's always playing on in his mind. So for me, it just all falls into that category of that psychedelic trip, that dream state, And I think we're just seeing the dreams of these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Anakin has a rough time. Like the more you dive into it, and that's what I love about the Clone Wars is how much they, just because I know like you sit there and you watch Revenge of the Sith, everyone complains about the writing and how he changes and stuff, but man, the Clone Wars just you almost have sympathy for Anakin by his fall because of everything he's been through and tortured and everything like that. The father kicks them both out, kicks everybody out except for Anakin. He tells them, hey, I'm dying. I need you to stay here, keep my kids here, protect the galaxies, protect the universe. And Anakin's like, nah, I got a wife, I got all this stuff. And the father says to him, this is like one of the last things that the father says to him is, leave and your selfishness will haunt you and the galaxy. And then it kind of flashes out from there because they're getting ready to leave. They're getting ready to fly off. And the background on the monastery, so the monastery is sitting in all these mountains. And as I paused it real quick, and I'm like, that looks exactly like what Baylan is seeing, staring off into the sunset, because there's that beacon above the monastery, and there's all these mountain ranges everywhere. And I'm like, I'm telling you, like, I think you just kind of like overlay the two of them, and it would be exactly what he's seeing. So I think where Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka were, I think is a temporal, like, world between worlds kind of place. But I think that it exists maybe on Peridea because it was a different galaxy, and they kind of almost
think
like
about
Luke Skywalker
it,
from the Last Jedi kind of projects it to them and pulls them into it maybe. So I don't know.
Well, there's no animals on Peridea either, right? Like there was no animals,
the
or was
Noti
there?
and the Howler, the Howlers and the Noti, but that's all that you see. There's nothing else that you see outside of that. But I mean, you know, who knows for sure? But yeah, I mean, that's a good reference, Taylor. I like that. I don't know. There's so much to unpack. I mean, this is one episode. But yeah, I just, you sit there and you feel for Anakin because he talks about, your selfishness is going to do this. And everyone's like Jack said, he's being pulled from every direction. It's no wonder any normal human being would have snapped. Any sentient being would snap at all the directions. You're being pulled, the pressure of being the chosen one. He kind of knows he is now. Like there's no turning around from it. Like he's proven it.
Yeah,
Kenobi knows he's the chosen one. Yeah. So, so just, you guys want to recap the season or the episode? I would say season. It feels like we talked about a full season here. But
yeah, happy days. So I think with Mortis, there's just so much to unpack and literally go through. It's going to be interesting to hear the explorers' comments and thoughts as well. So we'll probably continue this another time, and again, it'll give you, the explorers, time as well to let us know your thoughts and opinions. Let us know what you think the Mortis is. Is like Jimmy's saying, is Baylan pointing to the beginning? Let us know your thoughts on the episodes as well of the Mortis and the Clone Wars. Again, reach us out on the socials, Explore the Force on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, every other social media platform out there, YouTube as well, don't forget. And yeah, I know this week we have a question from one of the explorers. So Jimmy, what have we got?
Here we go. I'm going to play this. Maybe.
What's up? Darth Dan 316 here. I have a question for you. If you could only bring one to Disney Plus, which would you rather take? Would you rather take a What If series with 6 episodes, 45 minutes each? Or would you rather take a 1-season Clone Wars live action adaptation? Would love to know your thoughts on that.
All right, Danny's a very big Marvel fan, loves What If. Star-Lord's one of his favorites, but he's also a big Star Wars guy. He's gone to lots of things with me as well. But he had this question. He wanted to hear what you guys thought, because I know he and I have argued about this at length. But so I'll let you guys start. A What If series with Star Wars, or a live action Clone Wars? Go ahead, Taylor. You dive in.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I love canon stuff. I love when everything like matches up and fits together, and like all the different books and like TV series and everything just comes together as canon. So the What If stuff kind of, I don't want to say it like turns me off, but it's not what I would jump at firsthand, because what I've just watched, oh my god, it's amazing, but it meant nothing because it didn't actually happen. Like, does that make sense? Like, that's kind of how I would think of the What If.
Taylor, I couldn't agree with you more, actually.
Yeah, and I watched all of the Marvel What Ifs, and some of them were really good, like Captain British America, like with Peggy, like that was awesome.
Yeah.
But I think about a 1 season of Clone Wars in live action, and I'm thinking different planets, separatist planets, like so much war, crazy droids that we would actually see in live action and not just in animated. Like I would love to see these planets. Like it'd be so expensive and so hard to make like Felucia or I mean, I guess we've already got Geonosis, but like there's the possibilities could be endless. And we did get a little bit of a taste of seeing what everybody looked like in their Clone Wars gear, which was pretty cool with Ahsoka and Anakin. Spoilers, I'm so sorry, guys. But we didn't see Obi-Wan, and I would love to see, like, Ewan McGregor dressed in that white Clone Wars armor. I don't know. I would love to just one season would be so good. And, you know, they wouldn't just do one season. It'd be so popular that they would have to do two. So that's my answer.
All right, that's solid, Taylor. What about you, Jack? Do you want a what if episode, or do you want Clone Wars live action?
Jackson, you're completely opposite of me.
Exactly, yeah. I'm the complete opposite to Taylor's warmongering. I love what if. I think a what if Star Wars would be absolutely phenomenal. What if Mace Windu didn't get thrown out the window? You know?
Oh,
what
this
if
party's over?
What if? Yeah. What if C-3PO and R2 never turned up at Tatooine at Luke's homestead? You know? What if Luke was never found on Hoth? What if Han
Luke
Solo
gets
never
eaten by a womp rat?
Yeah. What if Han Solo never turned around during the New Hope? You know? I'd absolutely love that. Honestly, I think it'd be absolutely amazing. You know, there's so many story arcs and stuff like that you can go to, and I think in a way we sort of this is a great question for this episode because Mortis as well is what if. So
that is a good one.
So we sort of got it, but yeah, he sold me as well. 45 minutes long.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That would be nice.
The season's worth of that 45 minutes long.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But it wouldn't mean anything.
I don't care.
See, that's where you both have got me. I thought I was like definitely on Taylor's side. I only have like one what if is like if Obi-Wan Kenobi, or I'm sorry, if Leia would have made it to Tatooine. It's like I think it's like one of the very first questions I ever asked other podcasters. You know, I think with my first call-ins and things like that was what if Leia made it to Tatooine and found Kenobi herself? What would happen in the universe? But man, if I could have more of Scarif from Rogue One, and I could have 7 or 8 episodes of battles like that, following some of the clone troopers. You know, if we got Fives and all those guys, or one of the groups, like a scene from Solo when they're on Mimban, sorry. The stuff that we saw in Ahsoka, I would be hard to pass up. I don't even talk. I mean, I wouldn't even need Jedi to be in it. I don't think, just like a military style. But you throw in a couple Jedi, you throw in Ewan McGregor in Clone Wars gear with his Jedi robes and his armor. I would be hard to pass that up, and I think that Disney would become. They probably are the wealthiest company in the world, but they'd be taking over the universe with the money they'd rake in from a series like that. So I guess I wouldn't mind the what if. I'm kind of with Taylor though. Like, I like the story connecting, and I don't super enjoy like, well, what if this happened or what if that happened? But if you give me the canon, you give me some stories that happened, and it all ties together and drives the story forward, and it's a wartime, like those scenes I discussed, I would be all in for that. So
yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good question. Thanks,
That's a great
Dave, for that question. Yeah, really good. So, like Jack said, we had planned on diving into all 3 episodes of the Mortis arc, but the more we dove into it, the more we saw. We're hoping that you guys give us some information, you give us some questions, you give us something to think about. Talk to us about what we missed in episode 1 of it. Tell us what you think about episode 2 and episode 3. We'll release some questions out there. You get to us on all the social medias. and someday Jack will be back in a country with good internet. That will be awesome. We'll dive into all of it. But you want to take us out, Taylor?
Well, thanks for listening to us this week, guys. Ramble on about Clone Wars animation TV shows, but it's so great. But from me, for light and life.
Beautiful. And from me, rebellions are built on hope.
Oh, very good. And for all three of us, we have spoken. See you guys next week.
A lot.
We have spoken a lot and not well sometimes. So, all right.
Please tune in next week.
No, please.
Please. All right. See you
May the
guys.
force be with you.